Recently, I played through Dead Space 3 with the help of my friend Spydir to keep me sane. The following is a completely accurate summary of the campaign. Trust me. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. The game begins with an opening shot of This isn't Isaac, hold on. The game begins with an opening shot of Tim the Enchanter and his friend, Guy. They're on a super vague mission from a guy who can't explain it to them, so we just wander around the snowy cliffside for a while before coming across our Uber that crashed because of a bunch of angry tourists. We climb inside the Uber and pick up our thermos, but the Uber starts falling apart, so we rappel down a mountain because that was obviously our best course of action. Guy, who couldn't explain what we were supposed to be doing, decides that now is the best time to fill us in while we're careening to our deaths. Things start escalating really quickly to the point where I'm getting lost in the visual noise. I finally figure out what's going on.
Oh, I know what's going on. We're Lara Croft, and we're falling off the mountain in an avalanche.
General Who Gives a Shit commandeers our spaghetti and shoots us in the face, which we unfortunately don't survive because our plot armor wore off in the crash. The General ruins our spaghetti and then shoots himself in the head for his indiscretions against Italian cuisine. The game begins, again, with an opening shot of dumb Isaac, the youngest of three in the Clark family. Spydir interrupts the cutscene by accident.
I'm sorry. Fuck.
The camera floats into real Isaac's apartment, where he's being a saddled drunk, reminiscing about his ex-girlfriend like a creep, and he throws a hissy fit by destroying his sad excuse for an Antiques Roadshow collection. Isaac is interrupted from his sulking by his twin brother, Evil Isaac, and his new boss, who we find out later is also Isaac's ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. Evil Draw with Jazza and Evil Isaac kidnap Isaac because of his obsession with markers, so he can once again save the world from the evils of drawing on a whiteboard. We get involved in some road rage which quickly gets out of hand, so we escape just to cause a massive car crash because fuck highways. Dumb Isaac is on the news ranting about our obsession with dry erase, but we're not interested, so we disrespect some dead. Welcome to the very first elevator of the game. We'll be seeing a lot more of these. Dumb Isaac starts ranting after murdering a random guy just in case you weren't already convinced that he was the bad guy. Dumb Isaac shows us that he's harnessed the power of dubstep to kill a bunch of people.
Not dubstep! No!
And he goes to shoot us, but we're wearing plot armor, so we dodge it and fall down into a bunch of cushy corpses to break our fall. We meet back up with Evil Isaac, who got down there somehow, and make our way to an office building. But the workers aren't happy that we're interrupting their workflow, so they take their departmentally mandated 15-minute break in order to try to bash our skulls in. After taking another elevator, we decide we should take a trip to the countryside, so we hatch a plan to hijack a train. We beat up a mascot because fuck consumerism. As we make our way to the train station, we're interrupted by a parade, so we murder everyone involved. We take another elevator, and Evil Isaac is upset that there's not a bunch of trains around because he really likes trains. Because Isaac doesn't like seeing Evil Isaac upset, we use the power of the Force to rebuild an old train and set off on our vacation. We make our way to the front of the train as the passengers try desperately to stop our crazed murder spree, but I already did this callback joke in the Gears of War video, so I'm not going to do it again. Dumb Isaac blows up the train because we can't have anything nice, so we hitch a ride with Evil Jazza with the power of David Cage QuickTime events.
Grab me, you asshole! Oh, I have to press the E button, okay.
Evil Jazza wants our asses to the bridge, so we run backwards, which proves to be a bit of a challenge getting where you need to go when you can't see where you're going. Our vacation is interrupted yet again by giant tomatoes, just in case you weren't already convinced that tomatoes were the most evil thing ever created. We stumble our way to the closet so I can put on a spacesuit, so I don't just die in the vacuum of space, but I do it anyways, and that's the end of the game. But then there's more. Isaac survives this somehow, and we screen shake our way to an Uber box that sends us flying away from an explosion, and then a zero-G action sequence starts happening, and we totally don't die in a super easy action sequence twice. Did I die?
You died. Mine! Oh, fuck.
What happened?
I died.
We punch through a large piece of debris and tumble out on the other side, where we break into a random ship to let the Uber box inside because we're now the owners of the ship because squatters' rights. As we wander our way through our newly claimed territory, we come across a metapod evolving into a Butterfree, but we can't take the chance that it will gain sentience and try to push us out of our ship, so we murder it and all of its friends. Our exploration is interrupted a second time by Mr. Bubs, who loves us.
I got this on camera.
But we can't risk any chance of losing our stake, so we murder him. We try to turn the power back on, but the original owners of the property are back and attempt to stop us, but we're in too deep now to stop, so we ask them politely to leave. Just kidding, we murder them too. We get the power back on through the power of dubstep, and murder some more small dogs to take an elevator to another floor, where a woman with a very strong personality is there to greet Evil Jazza and not us, because she's our ex-girlfriend. We take the same elevator back up to another level, and Isaac starts bitching at his ex-girlfriend for leaving him because he was being sulky about his marker addiction. As we step out of the elevator into the generator room, we're greeted to the Kraken, who has decided to take up residence inside of the room, but we're not sharing, so we shoot it into sushi. Shoot it into sushi. So we chop fish. We solve a puzzle and enter an elevator and shoot a space deer in the face deer, and Isaac wanders up to a really crappy old whiteboard full of Doctor's handwriting. He starts to warn us to stop playing the game while we're still early in, but we don't heed his warning and end up playing for 8 more hours. Isaac finds out that we're in orbit over the marker homeworld, the Crayola factory. We agree to meet back up with Evil Jazza and the gang before we go down to the planet to fulfill our addiction. We take the elevator back downstairs and murder our way through more property owners, before going back outside to take a Disney ride to another spaceship. After entering the spaceship, we immediately take an elevator and wander down into the cargo bay, where the Amazon packagers are working diligently to deliver 2-day shipping, but we're anti-consumer, so we murder them. We pick up some Roombas and I ignore the tutorial because reading is hard.
You have some great reading comprehension there.
That's the other button.
I punch a set of twins to death, and we take another elevator to a puzzle that takes me way too long to figure out. We take the elevator back, but... Oh! We take the elevator back, but...
Teabagging at speed.
The elevator crashes, so we get out and walk to a tram, and solve a puzzle that lets us take another elevator to a side mission that we didn't realize we were on for 20 minutes. After abandoning the side mission, we take the elevator back to the tram, which we ride back to the main mission of fixing up a craft to crash land into the Crayola factory. After getting off the train, we take an elevator to a gondola, which we take to a lift, which we take to a ladder, which we take back to the lift, which we take back to the gondola, which we take to another lift, which we take to another ladder, which we take back to the lift, which we take back to the gondola, except the gondola leaves without me and I explode, so we have to do all of this a second time. After finishing the section a second time, I take a lift without Spydir to the control room where I get hugged, but Isaac isn't a hugger, so he beats the guy to death. We install the engine to the ship, and our ex-girlfriend accidentally sets everything on fire because even in a zombie-infested spaceship, women shouldn't be trusted to operate rockets. We leisurely take the lift back down, and Isaac burns up in the engine. So we leisurely take the lift back down again, and Isaac struggles to pick up an upgrade because it's the same button as the Get On Ladder button. I need to drop this med kit so I can pick up this. Nope, I don't. I want to pick up the upgrade circuit. No! Pick up Isaac! We leisurely take another lift up to a platform where evil Isaac gets eviscerated. So we leisurely take the lift back down, and then back up, and then back down, and then take the other lift to the gondola, which we take to another lift, which we take to an elevator. The elevator dumps us out into the room with the shuttle's gears, and we find out that they're clogged with military ordnance. Isaac decides that the best way to remove the explosives is to explode them. Unsurprisingly, this goes about as well as you'd expect, and we're jettisoned into space. Somehow this was the correct course of action, and we can now use the shuttle to go to the Crayola factory. We go back inside the ship and take an elevator to the wrong floor, so we get back into the elevator and go to the wrong floor again. So we take the elevator back to where we started because we weren't even supposed to take the elevator at all. We get into the Disney ride, which takes us back to space, where we begin to finish the preparations on the engine for the ship to crash land into the Crayola factory. In order to finish preparations, we have to take the Disney ride to another part of space, where we strip the HBO satellites of the true ending to Season 8 of Game of Thrones so that no one will ever really know how it was supposed to end. We hop aboard the shuttle and prepare to crash land into the Crayola factory. Isaac and Evil Isaac beat up Evil Jazza before setting off.
You stole my girlfriend!
You stole his girlfriend!
We play through a section of Star Fox, but the ship begins breaking apart and people we don't care about start dying. So we try our best to crash gracefully, but that goes about as well as you'd expect. Isaac and Evil Isaac get separated from his ex-girlfriend. We wake up as Jack Nicholson at the end of The Shining and Isaac's helmet malfunctions, so we're left to wander the frozen wastelands of the Crayola factory as an Isaacl. I make a joke, but then Isaac actually says it because he's a fucking psychopath.
Thank God. I was saying that as a joke!
Yep.
What the fuck is wrong with Isaac?
We're interrupted in our journey by a giant enemy crab, but that's okay because it's not a major plot point until later, so it lets us go on our way. Even in the Crayola factory, there are lifts that descend at a leisurely pace, so we take it to a cave and then get interrupted by the giant enemy crab again. We accidentally take the lift back up again, but that was the wrong way, so we take it back down and go the right way this time. We wander through the snow for a while and eventually meet back up with this guy who tells us that we should go down to the zombie-infested basement to grab a parka so that we don't freeze to death. After beating a dead corpse, we activate the elevator and ride it down to the basement, where we meet some Russian subway commuters who want to trade for our bullets, so we just give them some free of charge. We murder our way through more Russians and Isaac gets a new suit, which finally actually kind of looks like the suits from the previous games, 4 hours into this game. We take the elevator back upstairs and continue our journey, now unimpeded by frostbite. As we take a ladder to a bridge, we're interrupted by a landslide that just now decided to happen instead of at any point during the last 200 years that everything's been lying around, but that's okay because we're trained in the art of David Cage QuickTime events and mash E to not die. Evil Isaac takes Isaac aside to get his priorities straight, but Isaac makes it clear to him that he's only in it for the pussy, and doesn't give a shit if the universe ends in his pursuit for tail. We take a short lift upwards, but are interrupted by the enemy crab who doesn't like lifts and decides to be an asshole about it. After chasing off the enemy crab, we ritual dance our way down a super slow lift and meet back up with ex-girlfriend and Evil Jazza, who gets really testy about the fact that his girlfriend wants to give Isaac really sensual hugs. We're separated from the group by dumb Isaac, who was able to track us down with the power of because the plot says so. We take a lift and murder our way through dumb Isaac's goons before being jumped in a load screen by a local that falls to pieces when I blast it point-blank range with a grenade launcher. We murder our way through more goons and locals before being attacked by an evil dreidel that we break because the Clark family are good Christian boys and do not celebrate Hanukkah. We take a lift upstairs and go inside to take another lift to go back outside so we can power a generator, and then take the lift to go right back inside, except the world disappears and we fall into the void.
Did the walls just disappear?
Yes. Oh! Connection interrupted.
Oh!
After turning on a generator, Yellow Jacket Lady asks us to build her a probe for purely scientific experiments, and totally not personal use, so we set off to find the parts. We take an elevator so we can take a lift down to a loading area and watch a group of goons slit their throats because they were so sick of lighting candles.
That looks like fun. Can I join?
Who lit all these candles?
They did. They're having a 13-year-old girl's birthday party and they slit their throats. That's what you do at a 13-year-old girl's birthday party.
I got 2 years before I have to worry about that.
I can't break their bodies, which obviously means these guys are going to turn into necromorphs in a moment.
Evil Isaac starts seeing things, but we're avoiding doing any side missions, so we're just going to take an elevator and ignore his mental instability. After grabbing all the parts for the totally scientific probe device, we're attacked by the enemy crab again, but it runs off again because it's a cock tease. We take an elevator back to the candle room, and surprise, surprise, the obvious setup from earlier springs into action, and no one is surprised. We take the lift back to the elevator and get back to the Yellow Jacket Lady so we can pry open a vacuum cleaner to take the lift into its stomach so we can probe its insides. Isaac has a vision after we finish probing and we take the lift back up, but Evil Jazza doesn't want to let us out because he's an asshole, so he fucks off and we do it ourselves. We chase him down by taking an elevator to a load screen, but surprise, surprise, dumb Isaac finally caught up to us and it's revealed that Evil Jazza was actually evil the whole time, and no one was surprised because he was a dick the entire time. Dumb Isaac reveals to us his obsession with sniffing Copic markers before we get into a fight, and he literally just disappears. We get into a boss fight with a vacuum cleaner that ends with us getting eaten and then shit out back to Evil Jazza, who tells Isaac that his ex-girlfriend doesn't love him, so we murder him and then he bounces away so we curb stomp his corpse to pieces. When we meet back up with ex-girlfriend, Isaac explains to her that he had to kill Evil Jazza in absolutely the worst way possible.
Where's Robert? Is he... I shot him, Ellie.
That's not what he meant by tell her the truth!
I'm sorry. I had no choice.
Are you fucking serious, Isaac? Say it in the right way. You sound like a psycho.
There we go.
There you go. That sounds much more reasonable than I shot him, I had to.
We begin rappelling up a cliff, which we'll suddenly be doing a lot of, and it's never fun any of the times. We activate a lift to bring ex-girlfriend and Yellow Jacket Lady up to the top, and despite the fact that Yellow Jacket Lady is vocally upset about the situation and wants to get off the lift as soon as possible, she decides to stay on the lift at the very top so we can have a scene where she dies while we try to save her because the plot demands it. Isaac and Evil Isaac start bitching at each other before getting thrown back down the mountain we spent so long climbing up, and get into another fight with the giant enemy crab that we finally kill because now the plot allows it. We take the ladder from Metal Gear Solid 3, but it gives out under the weight of the Clark brothers' fat heads. As we get to another elevator, suddenly Evil Isaac can't crouch anymore, so we can't do the ritual dance to ward zombies away. We catch back up to ex-girlfriend, who needs us to solve a puzzle for her because it's missing pieces and she literally can't do anything on her own, so we run around while collecting parts. We take the elevator deeper inside of the facility to take a lift deeper inside of the facility so we can do a puzzle that Spydir has a hell of a lot of trouble with, so I do it for him. We take the lift back up to take another lift up further, and then take an elevator back down to take a lift down to solve a puzzle, and then gas ourselves, so maybe we have more in common with the Jewish than we previously thought. Evil Isaac has a vision of Isaac as a zombie, but we're still not doing side missions, so we're just going to ignore his mental instability and take a lift to go back upstairs. Evil Isaac also got his crouch back at some point, so we perform the ritual before collecting a piece and coming back to the lift to perform another ritual. We take an elevator back up to ex-girlfriend, and after puzzling the pieces together, we find out that it's an alien, whoa! Even though it was very clearly not human the entire time.
Rosetta's an alien.
What? What does that mean?
What do you mean, what does that mean? It's an alien!
Isaac has visions of markers and we collect a new spaghetti thermos, but it immediately gets stolen by dumb Isaac, who once again is able to teleport away in record time as we flood the room with gas and struggle to escape. The door malfunctions and ex-girlfriend gets trapped in the gas room, but no one is fooled by this death fake-out because it would have been super lame. Now that ex-girlfriend is dead, Isaac finally commits to the mission of saving the universe instead of just chasing tail, and Evil Isaac tries to cheer him up, but he's really bad at it. We escape Dumb Isaac's goons through an elevator, and then go through another elevator, and then up a lift where we get attacked by more goons. We almost catch up to Dumb Isaac, but he takes a big elevator to escape, so we do some more rappelling because it was such a fun mechanic the first 5 times we had to do it. When we make it to the bottom of the cliff, we take an elevator the rest of the way because of course we do. And then we do more rappelling so that we can do some more rappelling so that we can do some more rappelling. We catch up to Dumb Isaac and steal back our spaghetti thermos, but Evil Isaac's head is too fat for Isaac to hold, so they both fall down the cliff. We murder our way through the indigenous population and open several puzzle doors because someone thought that making every door into a puzzle was a good idea. We take a lift up to a puzzle that we spend way too much time trying to figure out because for some reason it wasn't functioning correctly or something. After figuring out the puzzle, we feed the machine some spaghetti and take the lift back down to move on. We team rocket ourselves to another puzzle door and then through several more doors before team rocketing ourselves again so we can take a lift to another puzzle and then take a lift back down to the void.
This is not the first time this has happened.
After team rocketing ourselves again and going through another puzzle door, we murder our way through a solid wall of audio. Seriously, look at this, it's basically a brick. And then we team rocket ourselves back to the lift from earlier and solve the same puzzle again, just to take the lift back down again, so then we can team rocket ourselves back to the place we just came from. We do some more rappelling before catching up with Dumb Isaac, who is holding ex-girlfriend hostage because of course she wasn't dead, and of course she got captured by the bad guy. Evil Isaac is confused that now that Isaac knows that ex-girlfriend is alive, that he still wants to stop the universe-destroying device, even though he made it clear through the rest of the game that he only wanted to get his ex-girlfriend back. And now Evil Isaac trades the spaghetti for ex-girlfriend because he only cares about Isaac getting his girlfriend back, even though he wanted to stop the universe-destroying device throughout the rest of the game. Did the writers forget which character was which here or something? This makes no sense. Dumb Isaac activates the universe-destroying device and then immediately gets impaled. Despite having no chemistry with each other throughout this entire game, Isaac and Evil Isaac are suddenly buddy-buddy, and Isaac shares a moment with his ex-girlfriend as the universe is literally crumbling around them. We stroll our way through a floating platform in a doom tornado while the world is ending, and after failing our way through a flying sequence, we jog our way to a rest stop, where we take a few-minute break to upgrade our weapons and suit even though we're flying through space in a doom tornado. After failing our way through another flight sequence, we have a boss fight with a giant fish where we stab it in the eyes with markers, because have you ever been stabbed in the eye with a marker? I haven't, but I bet it hurts pretty bad. After prolapsing the fish so we can get to our spaghetti, we David Cage QuickTime our way to victory and sacrifice ourselves to save the universe. Ex-girlfriend jerks one off to the memory of Isaac.
All I have left to remember him is this picture.
Isaac?
Before fucking off back to Earth. Game over.
Helly? Helly.
Oh, I mean, you are a much bigger fan of the series than I am. So what did you think of this game?
It is without a doubt the worst Dead Space game. That's not to say it's a bad game. It's not a great game. It borders on maybe good game, but it's the worst Dead Space game.
I don't even think it borders on good because of the, it's a competently made game, so everything works, the controls are fine, it looks really good for the time, but there are so many load screens that interrupt the flow of gameplay. It's just, get in an elevator, get in an elevator, get in an elevator, take a ladder, get in an elevator. It's just too much. And the whole, Dead Space 1 had such good atmosphere with that it was like this abandoned station and the way it was, and then Dead Space 2 I personally didn't like as much, but it still kept with the same atmosphere of the first game, just with more stuff and better graphics, a little bit more budget. This game there's the whole last section of the game is super boring and doesn't fit the rest of the style because there's not these dense corridors with a ton of visual fidelity. It's just these flat rocks and shit.
Yeah, when you're on the ships, when you're on the planet, when you're in the alien city, it knows it has so much more at your disposal with explosive weapons, the way stasis and telekinesis works. So they have to make these big open areas to utilize all the shit they put in the game, but that completely breaks the atmosphere because you can see everything. And then they go, oh shit, and they put like rocks and stuff in your way, and it just feels cluttered. A big open space is cluttered as opposed to a small claustrophobic space. And like I talked about it while we were playing, and this is not my original point. Markiplier came up with this originally, but like with these horror games, the longer you stick with a main protagonist, the harder it is to keep it scary. Resident Evil had that problem. This has that problem. Even if you didn't add the second person in, this is the third time Isaac has had to deal with all this extra bullshit. So like he's not scared, so why should we be scared? Resident Evil fixed that problem by first they did 7, brand new people, never dealt with this kind of shit before, so it's scary again. And then with the remakes of like 2 and 3, we go back to these action stars that we know in their first encounter in these things, and so it becomes scary again. So yeah, like I'll go back and play Dead Space like once, twice, maybe 3 times a year because it's so good. I don't think I'll be touching this again until I get a crazy hair up my ass. Like, this does not have that spark, which is a shame because like they obviously worked hard on it. Like, it looks good, it functions well.
Yeah, I think they worked hard on it, but there's a point in the game where it just screams budgetary constraint, because especially the second half of the game feels nothing like the first half, and it feels like less and less was done to get the same feeling, and it's almost like, you know, they had to rush it, especially the very end.
Yeah, there were like, we got like 6 side quests in space that we skipped, and then there were like 4 side quests in the facility that we skipped, or on the planet in the facility that we skipped, and then there are no side quests in the alien city, and obviously there's no side quests in the last falling apart bit. Like, they clearly front-loaded all of the game into the first 2 quarters of it, the first half of it, and then the rest is so just go, 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 go. Like, we were never going to do the side quests, but when I sat down and played this through when it came out, I did everything, and there's so much more game up front than there is in the ass end. And I didn't realize how much of the split hallucination stuff was only clearly in the side quests that we didn't do.
Yeah, it really, like, because I remember that being a big part of this game, having played through the first time. And I thought that was neat, because I've been telling people for years, like, hey, this is a neat thing, I wish other games did it. Gears 5 does it, and it was really cool the way Gears 5 does it. But you see it maybe once or twice throughout the game if you don't do the side missions, which is just weird. And I think if you play on single player too, you don't even see those things at all.
No, not at all. But overall, I had fun. It was fun playing with you, but I do think that maybe...
It was fun playing with you. I don't think I had fun playing the game.
Right, yeah. Like, it would have been...
I think it was fun because we made it fun.
Yeah.
I don't think... Especially if I played this alone, I would have torn my eyes out.
Yeah.